So my name is Ali Sutherland. I'm the executive director of the Northeast Indiana Early Childhood Coalition, and I am a member of Hoosier Milestones. And we have a legislative update for childcare providers today. So we're going to start off. I have some other Hoosier Milestone members on the call as well too that'll be helping. And we'll have them, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, maybe Mary Jane, Franny.
Yes, good morning. My name is Mary Jane Eisenhower, and I'm the Executive Director of First Things First in Porter County and representing the northwest corner of the state. Welcome, everybody. I look forward to engaging with all of you today.
Hi everyone, it's so great to be with you. My name is Franny Einters. I'm actually based in Michigan, but I'm from Indiana originally. I'm a senior director of policy at a consulting firm that's based in Washington, D.C., and we work with early care and education providers around the country. So this is the best part of my job.
Awesome. Thank you both. I know I think I put you on the spot, so I appreciate your rolling with it. So today we are gonna let you know who Hoosier Milestones is, and we're going to talk about the Indiana legislative update and then some opportunities for engagement and advocacy for you all. And we I think have plenty of time to make sure we have good Q&A and can really support each other. So before we begin, we just want to let you know who is Hoosier Milestones. So we are a group that started about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, with county coalitions. So I know in the Northeast we have quite a few early childhood county coalitions, and the Northeast Indiana Coalition is really 11 counties working together. Who wanted to make sure that we could connect with other coalitions throughout the state and wanted to make sure that as we were advocating and as we were talking about what were the policies that were going to make a difference and how could we move this forward, that it was so important for all of us to begin speaking with one voice and that we wanted an avenue for some grassroots advocacy, right? We know we have great partners in the state that are also advocating and who have been doing so for a while, but we really wanted to provide an avenue for that grassroots, that community voice, and make sure that we were all speaking with the same voice. So our goals are pretty simple. We want to ensure that early childhood educators are supported and thriving while providing high quality early childhood education. We want to make sure that Indiana families can afford the early care and education setting of their choice, and that Indiana's early care and education system supports the well-being of all children. And so what do? We're supporting early childhood education in Indiana through advocacy efforts. It's really about advocacy and education, and I'm sure you all are doing that on a daily basis with your families. And we want to support your ability to do that and getting that word out in the community more and provide resources, trainings, and tools that can help us all become better advocates for this thing that we're so passionate for. Um, we have been organizing calls and offering tools and resources. We see this really as the beginning of a long journey that we know that it's going to take a lot of coordinated effort and organization to get our state to where we'd like to see it. And we're in it for the long haul, and we're so glad to have you with us today. And let's get started on where we are for the Indiana legislative update. So my background is in early care and education. I've been a preschool teacher, a developmental specialist, and I've run a home visiting program, and I'm now doing this advocacy work, which is brand new. And I don't know about you all, but I didn't remember my government class very well. That's not the one I paid as close of attention to as I should have. So, just as an overview for where we are, at the beginning of January, lots of bills were introduced, right? They were introduced in both the House and the Senate. Some moved forward, some did not. They were heard. And now we're at the point where the bills that are moving forward have now switched to the opposite house. And so they need to be heard, and then they will be voted on and either move forward or they won't be moved forward. So we are at the place where these are the bills that are moving forward. They're being heard in the opposite houses. They will be voted on. And then if they pass, will be moved to, and Franny, correct me if I am wrong here in any way, please, or check me that I've learned what I need to learn. Um, that they'll move to the appropriation, the Ways and Means, to then have the final say, and then move to the governor, which will either be signed into law or not. have I learned what I needed to learn, or what did I miss?
That's basically it. They
Okay,
travel from one house to the next and then head to the governor's office for signage.
great. Okay. Then I've learned I might now know my school of rock. Okay. So the biggest one right now that Hoosier Milestones that we're following, I'm sure many of you are following as well too, is the House budget. So the House budget is now gone to the Senate for review. And with the GOP budget, sets aside 155 million for child care vouchers, where the governor's recommendation at the beginning was 362 million. That was going to help eliminate the wait list. It was going to help increase, I think, on my way pre-K as well, and cover what we needed to be. I'm sure many of you are feeling the effects of the newly implemented wait list. However, with the House budget right now, it does not reduce or eliminate the wait list for childcare assistant, and it's insufficient to meet the growing need. So we've been working really hard to advocate in our local with our local senators and throughout our communities to restore the governor's original funding of the 362 million. So currently the proposed is 155, and then we what we would like to do is restore that. Currently we have over, I think it's around 9,000 on the wait list. And I'm sure many of you have stories that you can share on how that's been impacting you and your families. We know we know that not having the voucher money and the wait list is really going to harm our child care providers' ability to serve. It's going to harm our ability to expand capacity. We know that there's a lot that goes into that. And so if we have questions or any of those, again, we'll make sure that we have time at the end. But before I move on to the next one, Mary Jane, Franny, anything you would add? Okay. I'm just going to check in and make sure. Okay. Then we have House Bill 1253. So this has passed the Senate, their committee, and has been sent to appropriations. So that's the next step before it's sent on to the governor. But this one, it provides that granted waiver or variance expires 3 years after the date that the waiver or variance becomes effective. Provides that no later than June 30th of 2026, the Division of Family Resources shall establish an organizational license category for multi-site childcare centers operating under one owner, and specifies obligations of the division with regard to the new license category. So that would create a new license it would be one license for a site that has multi-sites. So the license would all be tied to one versus every time you open up a new site having to have a new license. It also, and I think this is really important to know, removes the requirement that a child receiving childcare from a school must be the child of a student or employee of the school. So it would open up the possibility for schools to serve more community members. I'll pause and see Franny and Mary Jane, anything I should add? Okay. All right, we now have Senate Bill 468, and this is also passed the Senate and it's referred to the House Committee on Public Health. So this is provisions related to Medicaid. So it's important for our child care providers to know because there are some pieces in here that really affect our providers. It repeals a provision requiring that employees of a child care provider be tested for tuberculosis in order for the child care provider to be eligible to receive voucher payments. It also requires all employees of child care provider to be trained in pediatric first aid and pediatric CPR. It requires at least one adult who is certified in pediatric CPR to be present at all times when a child is in the care of a child care provider. So I think that goes to some of our training needs and wanting to make sure we know that. Okay, we have Senate Bill 463. This has passed through the Senate and has now been referred to the House Committee on Family, Children, and Human Affairs. I believe it's going to be heard next week. This allows licensed childcare centers to maintain specific staff-to-child ratio and group sizes based on bordering state laws. So they're looking at, I believe, Michigan, Kentucky, and Ohio, and wanting to match ratios from various states, which may be a higher ratio. Additionally, the Office of Secretary of Family Social Services must publish those staff-to-child ratios annually by December 1st. And then it also has a provision that if there's a current microcenter pilot program, and at least despite receiving at least 5 applications, the office must select additional participants to ensure. They want to ensure that there's at least 5 pilots for this. Okay. Okay, so those were the big ones that we felt would be really important for our childcare providers to know about. There's the budget, I think House Bill 1253, and then the 2 Senate bills that are now being heard in the House. So again, we'll move on. But what we want to provide is that we have some opportunities for engagement. At HoosierMilestones.org, there are resources for you. So there are different talking points. There is a script if you would like to call and talk to your senator or House representative and let them know how those various bills will impact you. We also have a weekly call on Mondays at 9 a.m. Where we talk about where is the current state and what are those opportunities. We share how we have been advocating and learning from each other. So those are available. The link is on our website. We would really encourage you to engage with your state legislators. They need to hear. You can send them an email or you can call their office and let them know that you would like to share this story again. And if you feel like I don't have the words to do that, there's a script available on our Hoosier Milestones. And we currently are collecting signatures for a letter that encourages our legislatures to reinstate the governor's budget, right? We know how critical that is. That funding will be for our families to be able to afford care and for our childcare providers to sustain businesses. So we have been collecting signatures. I believe we are at about 272 signatures, and we have another week and a half that we've dedicated to collecting those signatures. So we will make sure that you have the opportunity to sign on to that letter. You can share it with your families, your staff. And really, it's about collecting the support and having our legislators understand how impactful this is.